We're sticking with football here on the SportsMax zone. This time we turn our attention to Europe as the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League kicks off this Tuesday. Defending champions Real Madrid face off against familiar foes Manchester City in a rematch of last year's semi-final, which saw Los Blancos advancing 6-5 on aggregate. The first leg sees Man City travelling to the Santiago Bernabeu, where they have only managed to win one of their last 4 games in the Spanish capital. Real Madrid find themselves in the last 4 of the Champions League for the 3rd season in a row and will look to starman Vinicius Jr. to be a thorn in the side of the citizens once again. The Brazilian ace comes into the matchup producing 6 goals and 6 assists in the campaign thus far. Manchester City will be counting on their Norwegian goal machine Erling Haaland to continue his historic goal-scoring form. Haaland has scored a staggering 12 goals in the 8 matches this campaign. Manchester City remain undefeated as they enter this tie with the defending champions. Well, joining us to preview the game is former TNT international Brent Sancho. Good afternoon, Brent.
Good afternoon, Mariah. Good afternoon, Lance. And of course, good afternoon to all your viewers.
Yeah, it's been a while, Brent, since I spoke to you. Manchester City, Real Madrid, a good topic to talk about, a mouth-watering clash. What are we expecting?
Well, we are expecting great football, especially if we are looking at last season's episode of the semi-final clash as any indication. Certainly, both teams are coming in quite good form. And, you know, when you talk about attractive football, when you talk about goal-scoring activities, you can't get better than Real Madrid and Manchester City.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview with Carlo Ancelotti, and of course, you know, he was talking about the advantage of playing at the Bernabeu, the Santiago Bernabeu, and how the fans have a massive part to play, you know, 12 versus 11. Is he onto something?
Yeah, the fans will have something to say about it, but I think when you talk about two teams with the type of talent that they have on both sides, the type of experience that they have on both sides, of course, many seasons ago, we couldn't say that about Manchester City, but they are now a very experienced Champions League side. Certainly when you come to this end of the tournament, it does have a factor, but I don't think it will play the kind of factor that maybe Ancelotti may hope for. Look, at the end of the day, I think this is going to be, no matter how you look at this, a very, very exciting encounter of football. Normally when we see these sorts of tight matchups, we always sometimes end up with cagey affairs, but I don't think these teams know the word cagey. And it certainly won't be something that you'd want to walk away from your television set for.
Yeah, and Brent, I've been itching to ask this. Of course, I couldn't start the discussion with this because then it wouldn't flow. Over the weekend, Erling Haaland didn't take the penalty. He allowed Gundogan to take the penalty. It's Champions League time now. All that is behind us. There's a penalty to take. Who's taking it for Manchester City?
Well, I think Pep Guardiola sorted that out with his comments after the game. I don't think they will ever make that sort of error again. It was extremely unprofessional. Yes, I understand that Gundogan was on 2 goals and the third would have made it a hat-trick, but Pep Guardiola does not believe in sentiment. And I'm very sure that any penalty at the Bernabeu or at the Etihad or moving forward in Manchester City would be taken by Erling Haaland once he's on the pitch.
Yeah. Brent, talking about Haaland, he has scored at an average of 1 goal every 58 minutes in the UEFA Champions League. You are a defender. Well, you still are a defender, but your international recognition came as a defender for Trinidad and Tobago. How do you stop Haaland? How does Real Madrid stop Haaland in this important semi-final clash?
You don't. He is probably one of the most difficult players I've seen in a very, very long time. He reminds me of Ronaldo of old, not of course Cristiano, but Ronaldo of old, where his size, his speed, his pace, his intelligence, his ability to strike with both feet, create his own chances, run into space, come deep for it. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I'm very sure the producers won't allow me to. Yeah. But he has a plethora of gifts that you don't see in an average striker. Hence the reason his numbers are what they are. He's near impossible to stop. You cannot play him 1v1. because he is going to expose you. So it is one of those players that, as much as we give Karim Benzema a lot of credit for what he's able to do and what he does in the sport, I think Erling Haaland is the future of striker in football, future of striking.
Yeah, Brent, I was expecting a better answer than that, though. As a central defender, you guys are usually full of tenacity, and I thought you would give me an answer about how to stop him. Really.
I could go down the dark arts road, but that, of course, I wouldn't start going down there. I might put your viewers off if I start talking about the dark arts of defending. So,
I think Mariah has something to say.
Well, it's on the topic of stopping. Who is stopping Vinicius Jr.? A lot of talk about him and his speed. And how does that one work out, Brent?
I think both teams in transition, as I said, are the two best in the world. And I don't think necessarily it will come down to any particular player. I think it will come down to moments in the game and moments that come to particular players. Vinny Jr. is certainly one. I may even add Rodrigo, very close to Vinny Jr., a player that is finding tremendous form. But I think when you look at the Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne combination, the Vinny Jr., Benzema / Rodrigo combination, that is where this game will be hedged on. And you guys are right. It's going to be the team that can stop these pairings. I would suggest to you that I think the Real Madrid defense, of course, they're playing this full style without Militao, would be the one that I feel would be more suspect to the combination I just mentioned. So I would put the edge more towards Manchester City. I think you have to agree that Manchester City defensively have improved tremendously over the course of this season and over the course of Pep time in Manchester City.
Yeah. Brent, obviously this is a clash also of two of the world's best coaches, Pep Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti. From that perspective, who has that tactical smart that could get the edge in this fixture?
Look, I'm a big fan of Pep Guardiola. I know a lot of people like to mention the word tinkering at the wrong time, and Pep Guardiola has been known to do such. I don't look at it as tinkering, guys. I look at it as a man that is desperate to win and would try to go above the edge to try to win football. I think what we've seen from Pep Guardiola this season, from a tactical perspective, he has been extremely flexible. And that is one thing we've not really seen from a Man City team. Now, because they have Erling Haaland, they can go direct, something we don't really see. We saw that in the Arsenal game where they went very, very direct. They can play short, they can play into space, they can play in pockets, they give you different formations, three at the back, four at the back. John Stones, no one would ever have thought of that coming into the middle of the park. So I think from a tactical flexibility point of view, I would edge it to Pep Guardiola. I think from a sturdy, know what you get type of perspective is Ancelotti. That he knows exactly the way Real Madrid needs to play to win football games, and he's very good at setting them up in that way.
Yeah, we've already said on the show, Brent, that Pep Guardiola is on record as saying that Erling Haaland isn't the key to Man City finally winning the UEFA Champions League, because he felt that they had always scored goals, and the fact that they lost 6-5 on aggregate last time suggests that defensively they were not as good as they needed to be. Is that the case going in here? Is Man City capable of winning this game if they defensively are solid enough? Because we know that they should get goals, because even without Haaland they had gotten goals in the UEFA Champions League before.
And Lance, that's why I think Man City will come out of this tie, because they've gotten defensively better. A very interesting stat is about all the teams in this competition, they are up there as it relates to chances in the box to the opposition. They've really improved. Akanji coming in, I think that the fact that John Stones is coming into his own, of course Nathan Ake is out due to injury, but I think the solidity of their defense and the amount of chances that they've given up has decreased. They're certainly favorites. I don't tend to agree with Pep saying that Erling Haaland is not one of the main factors. I think he is. I do think so. Because if you think back to the game that they lost 3-1 in the Bernabeu, Grealish had two magnificent chances that he should have put away. And I'm very sure if it fell to Erling Haaland, it would be in the back of the net. And I think that's the difference. The combination of how good City has become defensively and the fact that they have Erling Haaland now, this is a completely different Manchester City team that we saw last season. They're a lot more prepared. They're a lot more in a better situation. And I think they have to be going in as favourites. And I also believe they are the favourites to win.
All right, Brent. Well, we don't have to wait too long. Of course, we'll find out tomorrow, and the match will be live on SportsMax. I want to thank you so much, and of course, we'll chat again.
All right, guys, have a great one.
All right, Brent Sancho there. And of course, viewers, tomorrow, if you want to catch the action, of course, it will be coming to you live on SportsMax too. There will be a pre-game show, Lance. And
1 hour long,
yes.
So we start at 1 o'clock Jamaica time, 2 o'clock in the Eastern Caribbean on SportsMax 2, 1 hour before kickoff with a pre-game show with Donald Oliver and his team. And I can't wait for this one, quite frankly.
This is, I have to do all my work very early so that I can just focus.
Yeah. Well, for different reasons. I'm intrigued by the match because it is a classic. Well, you're intrigued because it's your team playing and you have a vested interest, and you're a lot more nervous than I am.
We usually wear like shirts on Friday. Can we wear shirts tomorrow?
You can do whatever you want, but just be prepared to change your mind about which shirt you want to wear.
Be nice. It's break time. I have to speak to Lance off air. It's break time. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.